Thanks for watching the Fanatic Sports Channel. LeBron James is done. He's never coming back to the finals. Do you know this? He's never going to be the savior that we've seen before. He's not going to save LA like he's saved Cleveland. It's been a great run, though. 16 years of greatness so far. His peak lasted 14 years, and you could argue that LeBron James had the greatest and longest peak in prime in basketball history. His durability, when compared to his physicality and what type of play that he puts on the floor night to night, is matched by no one. Maybe in any sport ever. LeBron James, in any spectrum of measurement, is just an absolute freak of nature. He is possibly the most naturally talented player of any sport, and he's definitely the most talented basketball player of his generation by far. His legacy is that of a man who sought for greatness, who grew up on the court, became a phenom, a superstar, a champion, and then a mentor and a legend. LeBron James, like most great players of that elite caliber, does not see his end coming, but it is. And it's coming fast. Similar to when Kobe Bryant's prime ended over a 2 to 3 year span, being bounced from the playoffs early was an early indication, and then developing a few different injuries all at once. Ultimately, the bitter Achilles injury being the dagger injury to Kobe Bryant's career that ended it all. In a similar way, LeBron James' prime is just beginning to wrap up. And don't get me wrong, this is the beginning. He has a lot of time. He has a lot of sand in that hourglass left. Not enough to make another finals run and to just dump half of the sand out. Many folks refuse to see the simple truth, and that's this. That LeBron James is projecting blame. He projects blame to teammates, coaches, and the media. He's been starting to do this since his 2018 finals run last year. He didn't need to lay away during the Eastern Conference Finals celebration ceremony and just act like, oh, you know, I carried. He didn't need to give up on LeBron or on J.R. Smith after making the dumbest mistake in the first finals game and probably the dumbest mistake in finals history. But LeBron did. He gave up. You saw him on the bench complaining while Kyle Korver and other teammates were trying to get him motivated. LeBron continued to mope and complain and make excuses. He didn't need to give up on his team. And then, in the offseason, he didn't need to go on his show, Uninterrupted, or the HBO show, whichever one it was, and say that he is the best of all time in his eyes, and he has, quote, nothing to prove, unquote. He didn't need to say that. He didn't need to say that he was satisfied with his career, even if he didn't make the playoffs a few weeks ago. You just sign a max contract for 4 years and you are not going to try to make the playoffs, or at least you don't expect to. I think that's like a big middle finger to Lakers fans, in my opinion. He didn't need a call for a tweet from Adrian Wojnarowski on Twitter during the Super Bowl suggesting that he needed the Lakers to trade for Anthony Davis instead of retaining these young players. And he also didn't need to sit away from them on the bench when they were getting blown out by Indiana. The young players, rather, that he was sitting away from. All of it, is a softening, is just him softening his fall. He's basically like a guy trying to brace for impact while he falls off the mountain. He senses it coming, and he's softening his criticism. He's doing what LeBron James has done for a while. He's trying to control the narrative surrounding his legacy. And hey, it might work in the GOAT conversation. It really might. His fans, his stans, if you will, I mean, they'll argue anything. They'll say, it doesn't matter if you lose in the finals. And you know what? I would argue making it to the finals is definitely an achievement in and of itself, but you gotta win. You gotta win those finals matches that you make it to. You do. And LeBron has won a few, so they do have arguments. And I would argue last year was his best offensive, keyword offensive, playoff performance ever. He laid it all on the line on the offensive end of the floor. He had to play 2 7-game series just to make it to the finals. He made it all the way to the finals, only to give up after a teammate after J.R. Smith made that horrible mistake. But it was predictable. It's J.R. Smith. He's always high and drunk. That's his thing. They joke about it. Like, the players literally joke about it. So, like, you can't get mad at J.R. Smith for being J.R. Smith. But the moment J.R. Smith forgot to put the ball back up in the air, LeBron James quit on the Cavs. And that was the moment where LeBron James' prime ended. I sensed through his actions, his words, and just, his play, really, that he has a feeling that that would be the last time that he was going to be in the finals. Why else move to LA, where it's harder to make it to the finals, where you live during the off season, and you make movie contracts, and you have a studio, and you have all these other obligations outside of basketball? It's because he knows he's not going back to the finals. He's interested in being a star. Don't get me wrong, he wants to be there badly. LeBron James is desperate. He's so desperate to get back to the finals, he will trust a second-year basketball president in Magic Johnson. I know he's a legend, but he's still a second-year basketball president who is selling the Lakers as an old-school Showtime franchise. The same Magic Johnson who got rid of Julius Randle, who's now averaging 20 points and 9 rebounds with almost 2 blocks, and D'Angelo Russell, who was a freaking all-star, who just... And then he drafted Lonzo Ball, this circus show, who I admit can play some defense. He can play some defense. Lonzo Ball isn't worthless, but he's a lot closer to a bust than a star. That's true. And LeBron trusted Magic Johnson. He did. Magic said, we'll get Paul George. LeBron signed, they didn't get Paul George. Why? Because Paul George didn't want to play with the soap opera that is LeBron James and Lonzo Ball and all that stuff. He would be like the 4th person talked about in that team. And he wants to be the star. He's playing an MVP caliber season this year. But similar to late in Kobe's career, LeBron, similar to Kobe's career when Kobe won a few titles, and Melo didn't want to play with Kobe. That's basically what's going on here with Paul George and LeBron James. But Melo, I don't know if Melo was as good as Paul George in my opinion, but that's to be debated. But being great and having a giant ego that gets you talked about all the time makes it hard for you to be played with by these other great players who are almost as good as you, if not as good as you. And people would argue that's why Steph Curry is so amazing. He has no ego. He was willing to call Kevin Durant and say, hey man, I know I'm great, I know I'm amazing, but you're taller and bigger and stronger than me. Come over here and help me. Kyrie left LeBron. Paul George doesn't want to play with LeBron, and is having an MVP caliber season this year. He's playing amazing on both ends of the floor. The Lakers could have desperately used Paul George. Reports are KD has no interest in playing with LeBron and wants to smash his legacy. He's not going to join the Lakers. Kawhi Leonard has already beat LeBron in a title match. What makes you think he'll team up with LeBron now all of a sudden? Why would he do that? Why would he leave the Raptors? They have a much higher chance to go to the finals each year. It seems stupid to leave. Those players like LeBron, but they also know the other truth. The whole other truth, and that's that his overall game isn't what it used to be. And LeBron James and his fans can believe that he's still the best player in the league. They can say it all they want. They can yell on ESPN. They'll sell it to you all day. But the fact is, his athleticism is only impressive on offense. Those amazing chase down blocks on defense, where he would soar through the air for a few seconds at a time and just swat the ball away. We just don't see those as often in a Lakers jersey. The If LeBron jumps like that nowadays, he has to take a few plays off. He switches and hides on defense for fear of letting 20-year-old Trae Young just speed right past him and put him on skates like we saw the other night against the last-place Hawks. LeBron is smart enough to know this. He's intelligent to know that he is not as athletic as he once was, so he has developed a fadeaway shot. It's more of a roll away, but he's 6'9", 275 pounds. He can get enough space, and he's a really, really smart player. So it's a really, really good way of gracefully declining, I guess is what you would say. See, just because LeBron James, the legend, is done, the player, the athlete is over, that doesn't mean LeBron James, the NBA player, is done. LeBron James can still rack up a multitude of all-time records. All will affirm his greatness, and all will just affirm his illustrious legacy as one of the game's greatest all-time players. LeBron has a unique opportunity that if I were him, I'd try to take advantage of, and maybe even shift the GOAT narrative towards. LeBron hasn't suffered many injuries. He had a groin strain a few weeks ago, and that did keep him out a significant amount of time, but LeBron's body is kept in tip-top shape as he spends $1 million each year or more on medical treatments and workout methods. This durability and lack of wear and tear would mean that LeBron being 5th, almost 4th, in the all-time leading points board, having seemingly years left on his body to score around 20, 25 points a game at least. LeBron James would only need a couple years, 2 or 3, 4 years to do so. 4 or 5 at worst. LeBron James, known more for his assists and his ability to dominate the floor playing positionless basketball, could be the all-time leader in NBA history, surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If I were LeBron James, I would be more focused on that right now than I would be titles. Because titles might be a futile effort. Why not give us your very best offensive performances that you can possibly muster up before your basketball career is over? Who cares if you don't make the playoffs? Who cares if they say Kevin Durant or Giannis Antetokounmpo or whatever are considered the best players in the league over you? Why do you care? LeBron James should be focused on leaving his names all over the record book. He's got a chance. As I've been saying, between his posture on the floor, his attitude on social media, his responses to the press, it's sensing he can't carry this young team to the finals. He can't ever do it. By the time any other star could help him, even next year, his body probably it'll be in even worse shape than it is now. And would he even be a great guy to make a finals run with? On the defensive end, I would argue no. He's not. You have to hide him. For all these reasons, I think we've seen the best of LeBron James, and we should be happy. We should be happy for what we saw. It was incredible. LeBron James in his prime was truly one of, if not the greatest and most talented athlete to ever grace a basketball floor. Only a handful of players can reach that level of pure greatness on such a consistent nightly basis, and didn't suffer a serious injury, only to pretty much never suffer any serious injury. Just shows how gifted God has made this man. I know LeBron James isn't done having an impact on the world. He's just too smart. He's too business savvy. He's too influential in the community. And I look forward to seeing his future chapters outside of basketball. And hopefully a very fitting end where he holds all the records that he can hold. To a very fitting, legendary, incredible career that we may never see the like of again. Thank you, LeBron James. Do you need more sports content? Well, browse the Fanatic Sports channel for all types of different takes and analysis. Also, check out these awesome creators: Rumboyz Fantasy Sports Network, Spotlight Sports, Gumbo Sports, Council Talk, CPSports, Unfiltered Opinions, NBA Joyah, and more. Shout out to my friends on Twitter, Chief Before Gaming, NBA Trains, and the real Bryce Duhan. He's also a writer for Gumbo Sports. If you want to read my writing, go to gumbosports.com. Also, check out my friends at Beevolution Beats. I use their beats and they are killer. Thank you for watching and have a great...
Stepping up to the couch, it's Brian. who led the league last season in cracked screens. But with his new athletic case, it looks like that won't be the case.
Promo code
Touchdown, Brian.
FANSPORTS for 10% off your purchase.